Welcome to Mystery Manor Stories. I'm your host, Elias Thorne. If you're joining us for the first time, grab a cup of tea, settle into your favorite armchair, and prepare for a journey into the world of classic whodunits. Today, we're diving into a brand new tale inspired by the Queen of Crime herself, Agatha Christie. It's called Murder at Azure Gate House, a Killer Hercule Poirot Mystery. This is a long one, perfect for those cozy evenings or long commutes. Over 90 minutes of intrigue, deduction, and that signature Poirot flair. We'll be unfolding it chapter by chapter, so stick around till the end for the big reveal. Chapter 1. The Invitation to Azure Gate. Welcome, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Stories. I'm your host, Elias Thorne, and tonight we're stepping into a world of elegance, secrets, and suspense, with a brand new tale inspired by the unparalleled Agatha Christie. This is Murder at Azure Gate House, a Killer Hercule Poirot Mystery, a 90-minute journey into the heart of a classic whodunit. So, find a cozy corner, perhaps with a cup of tea or a crackling fire, and let's travel back to the autumn of 1925. Oh, and before we begin, tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Are you in a bustling city like London, or tucked away in a quiet village? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more mysteries. Now, let's set the scene. The English countryside in October 1925 was a tapestry of amber and gold, its rolling hills draped in mist that clung like a lover's whisper. Azure Gate House stood proud in the heart of Sussex, a Georgian manor of weathered stone and ivy, its tall chimneys piercing the sky like silent sentinels. The estate had been the seat of the Harrington family for 3 centuries. Its sprawling grounds, dotted with ancient oaks, a rose garden, and a hedge maze, whispering of wealth and history. Yet, beneath its grandeur, the house harbored tensions as old as its foundations. Secrets that stirred in the shadows like the once a celebrated debutante. She now moved through Azure Gate like a ghost, her laughter replaced by sighs, her spirit dimmed by Sir Reginald's indifference. Whispers in the village suggested she sought solace elsewhere, though none dared name her confidant aloud. Their children, Geoffrey and Amelia, were as different as fire and ice. Geoffrey, at 28, was a handsome rogue with his father's broad jaw and a gambler's reckless charm. His days were spent at racetracks or smoky London clubs, where he chased fleeting fortunes and left a trail of debts. Sir Reginald's threats to cut him off were frequent, yet Geoffrey's easy grin belied the pressure mounting like storm clouds. Amelia, 24, was the spark of the family. Sharp-witted, with emerald eyes and a cascade of chestnut curls. Her dreams of studying art in Paris clashed with her father's vision of a suitable marriage, and her heart belonged to Julian Reed, a painter of modest means whose very existence Sir Reginald scorned as beneath the Harrington name. The household was rounded out by its loyal, if enigmatic, staff. Mr. Albert Wilkins, the butler, was a fixture of Azure Gate, his 60 years etched into a face as impassive as the polished silver he tended. His loyalty to the family was unquestioned, yet his reserved demeanor hid a past that few dared probe. Miss Clara Thorne, the young housemaid, was a newer addition, her quick hands and sharper tongue making her indispensable yet divisive. Her observant eyes caught details others missed, and village gossip hinted at secrets she guarded closely. Dr. Elias Blackwood, a family friend and physician, was a frequent visitor, his medical bag a constant companion. At 40, he was distinguished, with a kind smile and a habit of lingering near Lady Evelyn, his concern for her health perhaps more personal than professional. Into this intricate web of alliances and animosities stepped Hercule Poirot, the diminutive Belgian detective whose reputation preceded him like a fanfare. With his egg-shaped head, meticulously waxed mustache, and a gray suit tailored to perfection, Poirot was a figure both comical and commanding. His eyes, words cryptic yet urgent. "My dear Poirot, a matter of utmost delicacy at Azure Gate. Threats and shadows loom. Your discretion and genius required. R. Harrington." Poirot, ever intrigued by puzzles of the human heart, had accepted at once, sensing a mystery worthy of his talents. The gate swung open with a groan, revealing a gravel drive lined with yews. The house loomed ahead, its windows glinting like watchful eyes. Sir Reginald greeted them in the grand hall, his presence filling the space. "Poirot!" he boomed, shaking the detective's hand with vigor. "You've come just in time. There's trouble brewing. Anonymous letters, vile threats. I need your mind to cut through the nonsense." The hall was a marvel of opulence. A chandelier dripped crystals, portraits of stern-faced Harringtons lined the walls, and a grand staircase spiraled upward. Poirot's gaze swept over it all, noting the faint scuff on a Persian rug, the dustless candelabra, a house kept immaculate yet strained. Dinner that evening was a study in tension, served in a dining room aglow with candlelight. The table groaned under crystal and china, but the atmosphere was heavier than the roast pheasant. Sir Reginald held court, his voice sharp as he berated Geoffrey's latest losses. "You'll beggar us all, boy," he snapped, slamming a fist on the table. Geoffrey, lounging with a cigarette, smirked defiantly. "Perhaps I'll outlive you yet, Father." Lady Evelyn, seated opposite, sipped her wine with trembling hands, her gaze flitting to Dr. Blackwood, who offered a reassuring nod. Amelia, in an emerald gown, pushed her food around her plate, her eyes blazing as Sir Reginald turned on her next. "And you, Amelia, mooning over that penniless dauber. I'll see you married to a proper gentleman, or you'll get nothing." Wilkins moved silently, refilling glasses, while Clara darted in with fresh plates, her eyes catching every glance. Poirot, seated beside Hastings, observed it all, his fork poised, expression unreadable. As the clock struck 10, Sir Reginald retired to his study, a fortress of oak and leather locked from within. "I'll deal with my affairs," he growled, dismissing the household. Poirot, sipping a tisane, watched him go, his mind already turning. "Hastings," he said softly, "this house, it is a chessboard. Each piece moves with purpose, but the game, it is hidden. We shall see what move comes next." The night deepened, the manor settling into an uneasy silence. Outside the wind moaned, and within, the stage was set for a crime that would defy logic. And there we pause, dear listeners. What do you make of Azure Gate's inhabitants? Who's hiding the darkest secret? Drop your thoughts in the comments and we'll unravel more in Chapter 2. Stay with us. This mystery is just beginning. Chapter 2, Shadows in the Night. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Stories with your host, Elias Thorne. If you're just joining us, we're unraveling the deliciously dark murder at Azure Gate House, a Killer Hercule Poirot mystery. Last time we met the inhabitants of this grand Sussex estate, caught the glint of secrets in their eyes, and felt the tension brewing like a storm. Tonight we dive deeper, as the curtain rises on a crime that will test even Hercule Poirot's legendary gray cells. Before we begin, let me know in the comments, what's your guess for the culprit so far? And if you're enjoying this tale, give us a like and subscribe to keep the mysteries coming. Now, settle in, and let's step back into the misty night of 1925. The clock in the grand hall of Azure Gate House struck midnight, its chimes resonating through the manor like a solemn knell. The house, so vibrant with candlelight and conversation hours earlier, now lay cloaked in silence, its corridors heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. Outside, the October wind howled, rattling the leaded windows and sending leaves skittering across the gravel drive. Within, the inhabitants of Azure Gate moved like pieces on a chessboard, each step fraught with "What is the melody?" In the adjoining room, Captain Arthur Hastings slept soundly, his snores a soft counterpoint to the wind's lament. His faith in the simplicity of life, golf, good brandy, and honest men, left him blissfully unaware of the gathering storm. Down the hall, however, others were not so restful. Geoffrey Harrington, the reckless heir, slipped out of his room, a cigarette dangling from his lips. Clad in a dressing gown, he moved toward the terrace, his thoughts tangled with bookmakers' ledgers and his father's latest threats to disinherit him. The night air was sharp, but it steadied his nerves as he lit his cigarette, the glow illuminating his furrowed brow. A shadow moved near the hedge maze, a trick of the moonlight, or something more. Amelia Harrington, in her room at the end of the corridor, paced in her silk nightgown, her chestnut curls loose about her shoulders. She had slipped away earlier to meet Julian Reed, her forbidden love, in the glass-walled conservatory. Their meeting had been brief but fervent, their whispers urgent beneath the scent of hothouse orchids. "Father will never consent," Amelia had sighed, her hand in Julian's paint-stained one. "Then we'll defy him," Julian had replied, his dark eyes fierce. "We'll find a way." Now alone, Amelia clutched a locket with Julian's portrait, her heart racing with defiance and fear. Lady Evelyn Harrington wandered the upper halls, her candle casting flickering shadows on the paneled walls. Her auburn hair, unpinned, fell in waves, and her nightgown trailed like a specter's shroud. She paused outside Dr. Elias Blackwood's door, her hand hovering as if to knock. A moment later she did, softly, and the door opened. Inside, their voices were low, tinged with the intimacy of shared history. "Evelyn, you mustn't worry so," Blackwood murmured, his tone gentle but strained. "Reginald's cruelty, it cannot break you." Her reply was barely audible, a confession of regrets and unspoken hopes. Mr. Albert Wilkins, the butler, was in the pantry, pot in the hearth, casting shadows across shelves of leather-bound books and a massive desk strewn with ledgers. Sir Reginald, in a velvet smoking jacket, sipped brandy from a crystal glass, his face etched with irritation as he reviewed accounts. "Fools, all of them," he muttered, his pen scratching out figures. The anonymous letters lay beside him, their threats a nagging thorn. He dismissed them as cowardice, yet his hand lingered on the revolver in his desk drawer. It was Clara who first heard the shot, a sharp, unmistakable crack that pierced the silence like a blade. She froze on the servants' stairs, her breath catching. The sound came from the study, she was certain. She raced down, her shawl slipping, and reached the study door in moments. "Sir Reginald!" she called, knocking frantically. No answer came. Wilkins emerged from the pantry, his face pale but composed. "What's happened, girl?" he demanded, joining her at the door. He pounded on the oak, his voice rising. "Sir, open the door!" The household stirred like a disturbed hive. Geoffrey appeared, his cigarette forgotten, his dressing gown askew. Amelia hurried from her room, her locket clutched tightly. Lady Evelyn and Dr. Blackwood emerged together, their faces a mirror of shock and guilt. Poirot and Hastings were last, the detective's silk robe impeccable despite the hour, his eyes alight with curiosity. "What is this commotion?" Poirot asked, his voice calm but commanding. "A shot, sir," Clara stammered. "From the study." Wilkins tried the handle. Locked. He fetched a crowbar from the servants' hall and with Geoffrey's help forced the door. It swung open with a groan, revealing a scene that stopped them cold. Sir Reginald slumped over his desk, blood pooling from a wound at his temple, a revolver clutched in his right hand. The air smelled of gunpowder and brandy. Papers were scattered, a glass overturned, but the room was otherwise untouched. The windows remained latched, the curtains undisturbed. The fire burned low, casting eerie flickers across the scene. Mon Dieu! Yet Sir Reginald was left-handed. The powder burns, too distant for a self-inflicted wound. And this smudge, paint perhaps? Clara gasped faintly, unnoticed by most. Poirot's eyes flicked to her, but he said nothing. "Someone must fetch the constable," Dr. Blackwood said, his voice steady despite his pallor. "Yes," Poirot agreed, rising. "But first, we preserve the scene. No one leaves this house until I have spoken with each of you." The wind howled outside as if mourning the master of Azure Gate. The stage was set, the players assembled, and the mystery of the locked room had begun. That's where we pause, dear listeners. What do you make of this impossible crime? Who do you suspect? And what clue caught your eye? Drop your thoughts in the comments and join us for Chapter 3 to see Poirot's investigation unfold. This is Elias Thorne, wishing you a mysterious night. Chapter 3. The Web of Suspicions. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Stories with your host Elias Thorne. We're deep in the heart of our chilling tale, Murder at Azure Gate House, a Killer Hercule Poirot Mystery. Last time, the grand Sussex manor turned deadly with the shocking murder of Sir Reginald Harrington, found in a locked study, a revolver in his hand. Was it suicide or an impossible crime? Hercule Poirot believes it's murder, and tonight we join him as he begins to unravel the secrets of Azure Gate. Before we dive in, drop a comment below. Who's your prime suspect right now? Are you leaning toward a scorned heir, a loyal servant, or someone else entirely? If you're loving this mystery, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Now let's step back into the misty dawn of 1925, where every glance hides a motive. The first light of dawn crept over the Sussex hills, painting the stone facade of Azure Gate House in hues of gray and gold. The manor, so imposing by night, seemed almost vulnerable in the morning mist, its ivy-clad walls heavy with the weight of the previous night's tragedy. Inside, the air was thick with shock and suspicion. The household constable, a ruddy-faced man named Hargrove, had arrived shortly after dawn, his boots leaving muddy tracks on the polished floor. He scratched his head, peering at the study door, now propped open. "Looks like suicide to me, Mr. Poirot," he said, his tone more hopeful than convinced. "Man shoots himself, door locked, key inside. Simple enough." Poirot's mustache twitched, a sign of polite disdain. Simple, Constable Hargrove. No, no. Observe. Sir Reginald was left-handed, yet the revolver was found in his right. The powder burns on his temple, too distant for a self-inflicted shot. And the room, so perfectly sealed, it screams of design. This is murder, meticulously planned. Hargrove blinked, out of his depth. Well, I'll fetch the coroner. But you've got your work cut out, sir. The household sat in uneasy silence. Lady Evelyn Harrington, pale as the lace at her throat, clutched a handkerchief. Geoffrey Harrington, slouched in an armchair, lit another cigarette with trembling hands. Amelia Harrington, her eyes red-rimmed, twisted her locket absently. Mr. Albert Wilkins, the butler, stood rigid by the door, his face a mask. Miss Clara Thorne, the maid, hovered near the tea tray, her sharp gaze flitting between faces. And Dr. Elias Blackwood, the family physician, sat close to Lady Evelyn, his expression one of guarded concern. Poirot began his inquiries with the precision of a watchmaker, his questions gentle yet probing, like a surgeon's scalpel. "Madam Harrington," he said, turning to Lady Evelyn, "where were you when the shot was heard?" Lady Evelyn's eyes flickered, her voice barely above a whisper. "I was in my room, preparing for bed. I heard the shot and came running." Her hands twisted the handkerchief, betraying her nerves. Poirot noted the faint scent of lavender on her, and the way her gaze darted to Dr. Blackwood. "And you, Monsieur Geoffrey?" Poirot asked, his tone neutral. Geoffrey his throat. "I was asleep in my room, a guest suite near the west wing. The commotion woke me." His tone was measured, but his proximity to Lady Evelyn spoke volumes. Poirot paced slowly, his hands clasped behind his back. "Each of you a piece of the puzzle. But let us examine the stage of this crime, the study itself." He led the group back to the study, where Sir Reginald's body had been covered with a sheet pending the coroner's arrival. The room remained as it was, door forced open, windows latched, curtains drawn. The desk was a chaos of papers, ledgers, letters, and a spilled brandy glass. The revolver lay where it had fallen, its barrel gleaming dully. Poirot knelt, his gloved hands hovering over the scene. "Observe, Hastings," he said. "The smudge on the desk, paint perhaps, blue as the sky. And here, a scrap of paper beneath the ledger, torn, with the word debt scrawled in haste." He held it up, his eyes scanning the room. "And the key inside the lock, yet the door was bolted. Curious, no?" Hastings frowned. "But how could anyone get in or out? It's impossible." "Impossible?" Poirot smiled faintly. "No, mon ami. The impossible is merely the possible in disguise." He turned to the group, his voice deliberate. "Let us consider motives. Sir Reginald was a man of wealth and power, but also of enemies. Madame, your husband's temper, it was a burden, perhaps." Lady Evelyn flinched, saying nothing. "Monsieur Geoffrey, your debts. Did your father threaten to cut you off?" Geoffrey's jaw tightened. "Mademoiselle Amelia, your father opposed your love for Monsieur Reed. Did this spark resentment?" Amelia's eyes flashed, but she remained silent. To Wilkins, "Your loyalty is admirable, but what secrets did you share with your master?" The butler's face remained impassive. To Clara, "You heard the shot first. Did you hear more than you say?" Clara's lips parted, then closed. To Dr. Blackwood, Your closeness arrived. Poirot stepped aside, his mind racing. The household dispersed, their faces etched with fear and secrets. Clara lingered, her eyes meeting Poirot's for a fleeting moment before she hurried away. Geoffrey stubbed out his cigarette, leaving another ash mark. Amelia clutched her locket, whispering something to herself. Lady Evelyn leaned on Dr. Blackwood, who murmured reassurances. Wilkins resumed his duties, his movements mechanical. "Hastings," Poirot said, leading his friend to the terrace. "This house is a labyrinth of motives. The paint, the footprint, the torn paper. These are the threads we must follow. But beware the false trails, for someone wishes to deceive us." The mist hung heavy over Azure Gate, and the investigation had only just begun. And there we pause, dear listeners. What do you make of Poirot's first steps? That paint smudge, that footprint. Where do they lead? Share your theories in the comments, and join us for Chapter 4 to see what clues emerge next. This is Elias Thorne, bidding you a mysterious night. Chapter 4, Threads Unraveling. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Stories with your host, Elias Thorne. We're knee-deep in the shadowy intrigue of murder at Azure Gate House, a Killer Hercule Poirot mystery. Last time, Hercule Poirot began his meticulous investigation into the impossible murder of Sir Reginald Harrington, found dead in a locked study. With suspects aplenty and secrets lurking in every corner of this Sussex manor, the plot thickens tonight as new clues emerge, and some lead us astray. What's caught your eye so far? That curious paint smudge, perhaps, or the mysterious footprint? Drop your theories in the comments below and tell me where you're listening from tonight. If you're enjoying this tale, give us a like and subscribe for more mysteries. Now, let's return to the misty morning of 1925, where Poirot's little gray cells are hard at work. The sun rose reluctantly over Azure Gate House, its rays struggling through the heavy mist that where Sir Reginald's body still lay under a sheet awaiting the coroner's removal, was Poirot's first stop. Constable Hargrove had cordoned it off, though his bumbling presence did little to inspire confidence. Poirot knelt by the desk, his gloved hands tracing the edges of the scattered papers. The blue paint smudge, vivid as a summer sky, remained his focus. "This paint," he murmured. "It is not from the study's decor. Perhaps an artist's hand?" His eyes flicked to Hastings. "Mademoiselle Amelia's suitor, Monsieur Reed. He is a painter, no?" Hastings nodded. "Julian Reed, yes. Bit of a bohemian chap. Sir Reginald despised him." "Précisément," Poirot said, rising. "We must speak with him." But first, Poirot examined the room further. The windows, latched from within, showed no signs of tampering. No scratches, no forced frames. The chimney, narrow and sooty, was impassable even for a child. The door's bolt, heavy and intact, confirmed the room's impregnability. Yet a new clue caught his eye. A faint scratch on the keyhole, barely visible, as if a tool had grazed it. "Interesting," he said, filing it away. In the drawing room, the household gathered, their faces a gallery of unease. Lady Evelyn sat by the window, her auburn hair catching the light, her hands twisting a silk scarf. Geoffrey paced, his cigarette smoke curling like his thoughts. Amelia clutched her locket, her eyes defiant yet haunted. Wilkins stood by the door, his posture rigid, while Clara poured tea with a steadiness that belied her nervous glances. Dr. Blackwood, his medical bag at his feet, offered Lady Evelyn a reassuring glance that lingered too long. Poirot began with Julian Reed, summoned from the village where he lodged. The young painter arrived, his dark hair disheveled, his coat flecked with paint, blue among the hues. "Monsieur Reed," Poirot said, his voice smooth as velvet. "You were at Azure Gate last night, were you not?" Julian hesitated, then nodded. "I met Amelia in the conservatory. We spoke of our future." Edges blurred, as if someone had tried to smudge it. "A woman's shoe, perhaps," Poirot mused, glancing at Clara and Amelia. Neither met his eye. A servant brought a discovery, a bundle of Geoffrey's gambling slips, found tucked inside a ledger in the study. "Planted, I'd wager," Geoffrey snapped, his face flushing. "Someone's trying to pin this on me." Poirot raised a hand. "Calm, monsieur. The truth does not hide in anger." But the slips hinted at desperation, debts to a London bookie named Carver, a man known for ruthless collection. Another clue surfaced, a love letter hidden in Amelia's room but found by Clara during cleaning. "I took it to Sir Reginald," Clara admitted, her voice low. "He was furious, said he'd disinherit her." The letter, penned by Julian, spoke of eloping, a motive for murder if Sir Reginald had acted on his threat. Poirot's inquiries grew sharper. To Lady Evelyn, "Madame, your husband's letters mentioned sins of the past. What did he fear?" She shook her head, her lips tight, but her glance at Dr. Blackwood betrayed her. To Dr. Blackwood, "Your medical expertise. Could it stage a suicide?" Blackwood bristled. "I'm a healer, not a killer, Mr. Poirot." To Clara, "You found the letter, yet you say nothing of your own past. Your brother, did he not die in Sir Reginald's employ?" Clara's eyes widened, but she murmured, "That was years ago." Red herrings multiplied. A vial of laudanum, empty, was found in the pantry. Poison, perhaps. But Dr. Blackwood confirmed it was his, prescribed for Lady Evelyn's nerves, misplaced during a house call. "A distraction," Poirot muttered, dismissing it. Tensions flared as accusations flew. Geoffrey pointed at Julian. "That painter skulked about last night. He's got paint on his hands." Amelia sprang to Julian's defense, her voice sharp. "You're just deflecting, Geoffrey. Your debts were bleeding father dry." Lady Evelyn fainted, collapsing into Dr. Ami. "We are surrounded by false trails. The paint points to Julian, yet it is too convenient. The footprint, too small for Geoffrey, but perhaps not for Clara or Amelia. The gambling slips accuse, but were they placed? We must tread carefully." Hastings shivered. "It's like chasing shadows, Poirot. Everyone's got a reason to hate Sir Reginald, but who had the nerve to do it?" Poirot smiled faintly. "That, Hastings, is what we shall discover. The web unravels, but the spider remains hidden." As the day wore on, the household fractured further. Clara was seen whispering to Wilkins, their heads bent close. Amelia confronted Geoffrey, accusing him of betrayal. Lady Evelyn retired to her room, Dr. Blackwood at her side. And Poirot, ever watchful, noted a new detail. A faint smell of turpentine near the study door, faint but unmistakable. And there we pause, dear listeners. What do you make of these tangled threads? Is the paint smudge a true clue or a clever ruse? Who's hiding behind that turpentine scent? Share your guesses in the comments and join us for Chapter 5 as the mystery deepens. This is Elias Thorne, wishing you a night full of intrigue. Chapter 5. The Storm Builds. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Stories with your host, Elias Thorne. We're unraveling the intricate web of murder at Azure Gate House, a Killer Hercule Poirot mystery, and oh, what a tangled web it is. Last time, Hercule Poirot sifted through a maze of clues, paint smudges, muddy footprints, and gambling slips, while the locked-room murder of Sir Reginald Harrington baffled us all. Tonight, the storm gathers over Azure Gate as new complications and twists tighten the noose. What's your theory so far? Is it the painter with the blue-stained hands, or perhaps a loyal servant with a hidden grudge? Drop your guesses in the comments and let me know where you're tuning in from. If you're hooked, give us a like and subscribe for more of deception. But every thread, even the false ones, leads to the truth. We must pull carefully. The household had dispersed after the morning's interrogations, but tension lingered like the scent of rain. Lady Evelyn Harrington, her face drawn, had retired to her room claiming a headache. Geoffrey Harrington, restless, smoked in the billiard room, his eyes darting to the door. Amelia Harrington, her locket clutched tightly, sketched in the conservatory, her pencil strokes sharp with anger. Mr. Albert Wilkins, the butler, polished silver with mechanical precision, while Miss Clara Thorne, the maid, moved silently, her sharp ears catching whispered arguments. Dr. Elias Blackwood, ever attentive, checked on Lady Evelyn, his medical bag a constant companion. Poirot's morning had been fruitful, yet perplexing. The blue paint smudge, the scratched keyhole, the brass weight, and the turpentine scent nagged at his little gray cells. He had summoned the household to the drawing room once more, determined to probe deeper. As they gathered, the rain's rhythm underscored their unease. "Monsieur Poirot," Geoffrey said, lighting another cigarette. "This is madness. You're hounding us while Father's killer roams free." Poirot raised a hand, his voice calm but firm. "Patience, monsieur. The killer is among us, and the truth will not hide forever." A new complication arose when Clara, clearing the breakfast tray, reported overhearing a heated exchange between Sir Reginald and Geoffrey the previous evening. "It was about money, sir," she said, her eyes downcast. "Sir Reginald said he'd cut Master Geoffrey off for good, debts or no debts." Geoffrey's face reddened. "Eavesdropping, were you? That was a private row. Father was always threatening, but he never followed through." Poirot's gaze sharpened. "Yet the gambling slips in the study suggest otherwise. Were you desperate, monsieur?" Geoffrey slammed his fist on the armrest. "I didn't kill him. Personal matters." Blackwood nodded, his face grim. "We heard the commotion and came down together. Nothing more." Poirot's eyes narrowed. "An affair, perhaps. Sir Reginald suspected, did he not?" Lady Evelyn gasped, her scarf slipping to reveal the bruise on her wrist. "It was an accident. A door caught me. Reginald was harsh, but I loved him." A new suspect entered the frame, Julian Reed. Poirot discovered a paint-stained rag in the conservatory, its blue hue matching the desk smudge. Julian, summoned again, insisted he hadn't been near the study. but a gardener reported seeing a figure in a dark coat, Julian's, near the terrace at midnight. "I was with Amelia," Julian protested. "Ask her." Amelia confirmed it, but her hesitation suggested more. "We parted at 11:30, she admitted. "I don't know where he went after." Poirot's mind raced. The duplicate key, the paint, the bruise, each a piece of the puzzle, but some were distractions. He returned to the study, now empty of Sir Reginald's body, and examined the desk. The brass weight intrigued him. Its scratches matched marks on the floor near the window. "A device, perhaps," he mused, testing its weight. "Or another false trail." A startling discovery came from the library. A ledger hidden behind a false panel, detailing Sir Reginald's dealings with a colonial partner, Mr. Carver, the same bookie Geoffrey owed. Had Carver visited Azure Gate, disguised, to pressure Sir Reginald? The ledger hinted at blackmail, with notes of payments marked silence. Poirot confronted Geoffrey. "Your bookie, Carver, did he threaten your father?" Geoffrey paled. "He sent letters, yes, but I didn't know he came here." Another twist. Clara, under pressure, revealed her brother's death in a colonial venture tied to Sir Reginald. "He was crushed in a warehouse collapse," she said, her voice bitter. "Sir Reginald called it an accident, but I heard rumors of negligence. Was revenge her motive?" The household erupted once more, his voice cutting through the tension. "The murderer believes they are clever, but they leave traces. The duplicate key, was it used or planted? The paint, does it accuse or distract? And the ledger, whose silence did it buy?" A final complication arose. A groundskeeper reported hearing a second shot, fainter, moments after the first. "It came from the gardens," he said. "Was it an echo or another gun?" Poirot's eyes gleamed. The impossible crime grows more complex, but the truth, it approaches. The household dispersed, fear etching their faces. Clara slipped into the servants' hall, her shawl hiding something. Geoffrey stormed out, muttering about Carver. Amelia clutched her sketchbook, her eyes on Julian, who lingered in the shadows. Lady Evelyn and Dr. Blackwood exchanged a glance, heavy with unspoken words. Poirot stood alone in the study, the rain a steady drumbeat. "The storm builds, Hastings," he said, "and with it, the truth rises. But we must be vigilant. The spider spins yet." And there we pause, dear listeners. What do you make of these twists? The duplicate key, the second shot, the auburn hair. Where do they point? Share your theories in the comments, and join us for Chapter 6 as Poirot closes in. This is Elias Thorne, wishing you a stormy, mysterious night. Chapter 6, Echoes of the Past. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Stories with your host, Elias Thorne. We're deep in the heart of our gripping tale, Murder at Azure Gate House, a Killer Hercule Poirot Mystery. Last time, the storm over Azure Gate House mirrored the rising tensions as Hercule Poirot uncovered a duplicate key, a mysterious second shot, and a strand of auburn hair. Each a tantalizing piece of this locked room puzzle. Tonight, we delve into the shadows of the past, where old sins cast long shadows. Who's your prime suspect now? Is it the painter with a motive, the maid with a grudge, or someone closer to home? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and ever the loyal companion leaned against a bookcase, his face etched with bewilderment. "Poirot, this case is like chasing a fox through a fog," he said, rubbing his temples. Duplicate keys, second shots, colonial ledgers. It's all a muddle. Where do we even start? Poirot's eyes gleamed with quiet intensity. We start, mon ami, with the past. The present crime is but an echo of what came before. These ledgers, these letters, they speak of sins that refuse to stay buried. The household had scattered after the afternoon's confrontations, each member retreating to their own corner of the manor like chess pieces awaiting the next move. Lady Evelyn Harrington, her auburn hair pinned tightly, sat in the drawing room, her eyes distant as she sipped tea. Geoffrey Harrington, his cigarette smoke a constant haze, paced the billiard room, muttering about his bookie Carver. Amelia Harrington, her sketchbook abandoned, stared out at the rain from the conservatory, her locket dangling from her fingers. Mr. Albert Wilkins, the butler, moved silently through the halls, his face a mask of duty. Miss Clara Thorne, the maid, polished silver with furious energy, her sharp ears attuned to every sound. Dr. Elias Blackwood, his medical bag ever present, lingered near Lady Evelyn, his concern tinged with something deeper. Poirot's investigation had reached a turning point. The ledger, hidden behind a false panel, revealed Sir Reginald's partnership with Carver in a colonial shipping venture that had soured. Notes scrawled in the margins spoke of debts repaid in silence and betrayals unforgiven. Had Carver blackmailed Sir Reginald? The anonymous letters, with their threats of sins and perishing, seemed to align with this shadow from the past. Poirot summoned the household to the library, the fire casting flickering shadows across their faces. Mesdames et messieurs, he began, his voice soft but commanding. The murder of Sir Reginald is not a crime of impulse. It is rooted in history, a history we must uncover. Let us speak of the past. He turned to Clara first. Whole truth. Poirot turned to Geoffrey. Monsieur, your debts to Carver, did they connect to your father's dealings? Was he here, at Azure Gate? Geoffrey stubbed out his cigarette, his jaw tight. Carver sent men to pressure me, yes. Father knew, he was furious. Said he'd deal with Carver himself. I saw a man in a dark coat near the stables last week. Could have been one of Carver's. But I didn't see him the night Father died. Poirot's gaze shifted to Lady Evelyn. Madame, the ledger mentions silence paid for. Did your husband fear exposure? Of what? Lady Evelyn's teacup rattled in its saucer. Reginald had enemies, Mr. Poirot. His business was ruthless, competitors ruined, workers exploited. He never spoke of it to me, but I heard whispers of debts unpaid, promises broken. Her voice faltered, her eyes flicking to Dr. Blackwood. Poirot pounced. And you, Doctor? Your closeness to Madame. Did Sir Reginald suspect an indiscretion that threatened his bride? Dr. Blackwood's face reddened, but his voice was steady. Reginald was my friend, but a tyrant. Evelyn, Lady Harrington, suffered under his temper. I offered comfort, nothing more. He suspected, yes, but I had no reason to kill him. Amelia, silent until now, spoke up, her voice sharp. You're all dodging the truth. Father was cruel, but he was changing his will, cutting us all out for some charity. I heard him tell Wilkins. Wilkins, standing by the door, stiffened. Miss Amelia speaks out of turn. Sir Reginald mentioned no such thing to me. Poirot's mustache twitched. Yet the will is a motive, no? For many of you. A new clue emerged. A groundskeeper, questioned by Poirot, reported finding a torn photograph near the hedge maze, its edges singed. It showed a younger Sir Reginald with a man resembling Carver, both smiling in a tropical setting. From his Ceylon days, the groundskeeper said, Found it this morning, half burned. Poirot examined the photograph, its singed edges suggesting someone had tried to destroy. Thought he'd know what to do. Wilkins, confronted, admitted keeping the notebook. Sir Reginald trusted me to protect his secrets, he said, producing it. Its pages confirmed Carver's blackmail, but also hinted at a third party. A silent partner in the venture, unnamed but powerful. Poirot's mind raced. The shot heard by all, the second shot outside. Were they one crime or two? The notebook, the photograph, they point to a conspiracy. But whose? Tensions boiled over. Amelia accused Clara of planting evidence to frame Julian. That paint smudge. You're too quick to point fingers, Clara retorted. I saw you sneaking to the conservatory. Maybe you planted it. Geoffrey, emboldened, accused Dr. Blackwood. You and Mother. Father knew, didn't he? That's why he was changing the will. Lady Evelyn rose, her voice trembling. Enough. Reginald was cruel, but I didn't wish him dead. Poirot silenced them with a raised hand. The past echoes, but it does not confess. The photograph, the notebook, the bullet, these are truths, but veiled. We are close, mes amis, to the heart of this mystery. As night fell, the storm raged on, lightning illuminating the manor's secrets. Poirot stood alone in the library, the ledger open before him. Hastings, he said as his friend joined him, the killer believes they have outwitted us. But the echoes of the past, they betray. And there we pause, dear listeners. What do you make of these revelations? The singed photograph, the second bullet, the silent partner. Who holds the key? Share your theories in the comments and join us for Chapter 7 as Poirot draws closer to the truth. This is Elias Thorne, wishing you a night of mystery and intrigue. Chapter 7. The Gathering Storm. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Stories with your host, Elias Thorne. We're racing toward the heart of our enthralling tale, Murder at Azure Gate House, a Killer Hercule Poirot mystery. Last time, Hercule Poirot peeled back layers of the past, uncovering a singed photo. The household trapped in a web of their own making. Hercule Poirot, his gray suit a beacon of calm amid the chaos, stood in the grand hall, his green eyes flickering with the intensity of a man closing in on his quarry. His mustache quivered as he reviewed the clues. The blue paint smudge, the scratched keyhole, the brass weight, the turpentine scent, the singed photograph, and the second bullet. Each was a thread in the tapestry of Sir Reginald's murder, but the pattern remained elusive. Captain Arthur Hastings, his ruddy face pale with exhaustion, leaned against the staircase banister. Poirot, it's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing, he said, his voice heavy. Carver, the colonial scandal, that second shot, how do they fit? Poirot's lips curved faintly. Patience, mon ami. The puzzle is nearly complete. The storm outside mirrors the storm within this house, a storm of motives, lies, and hidden truths. We are close, Hastings. Very close. The household had retreated to their corners after the library confrontation, but Poirot summoned them once more to the drawing room, where the fire cast long shadows across the velvet drapes. Lady Evelyn Harrington sat by the hearth, her auburn hair gleaming, her hands clutching a shawl as if to ward off the chill of suspicion. Geoffrey Harrington, his cigarette smoke curling like a serpent, stood by the window, his eyes darting to the rain-swept grounds. Amelia Harrington, her locket dangling, sat at the piano, her fingers idle on the keys. Mr. Albert Wilkins, the butler, stood by the door, his face as unreadable as ever. Miss Clara Thorne, the maid, arranged teacups with a precision that belied her trembling hands. Dr. Elias Blackwood, his medical bag at his feet, hovered near Lady Evelyn, his concern a mask for deeper emotions. Poirot began, his voice deliberate and soothing, like a storyteller weaving a spell. Mesdames et messieurs, the murder of Sir Reginald is a crime of cunning, but the murderer's web is fraying. Let us examine the threads anew. He held up. Sir Reginald mentioned a visitor, sir, but not by name. I assumed it was business. The notebook. I kept it to protect the family's honor. A new complication arose when Amelia, her voice sharp, revealed a startling detail. Father's engagement ring, mother's ring, the one he kept in his study. It's gone. I saw it in his desk last week, but now it's missing. Her eyes darted to Clara, then Wilkins. Someone took it. Lady Evelyn gasped, her shawl slipping. That ring, it was my mother's. Reginald kept it locked away. How could it be gone? Poirot's eyes gleamed. A theft or another clue? We shall see. The second shot reported by the groundskeeper took center stage. Poirot, braving the rain, had retrieved the bullet from the oak tree. It matches Sir Reginald's revolver, he said, holding it up. Fired outside, moments after the fatal shot. Was it to mislead us? To confuse the time of death? A twist emerged when Hastings, assisting Poirot in the study, found a hidden compartment in the desk. Inside was a letter, unsealed, addressed to Sir Reginald from an unknown sender. It read, "Your partner knows all. Pay or face ruin." The handwriting matched the anonymous threats, but the paper was finer, suggesting a different author, or a clever disguise. Poirot confronted Dr. Blackwood. This partner, could it be you, Doctor? Your closeness to Madame Harrington, your knowledge of Sir Reginald's health. Did you seek to profit from his secrets? Blackwood's face darkened. I'm no blackmailer, Poirot. Reginald's heart was weak. I warned him stress could kill him, but I didn't shoot him. Lady Evelyn, her voice breaking, added, Reginald suspected everyone. Me, Elias, even the servants. He was paranoid, seeing threats everywhere. Another clue surfaced. A groundskeeper reported seeing Clara near the stables the night of the murder, carrying a small bundle. Confronted, Clara's composure cracked. I was hiding a letter from my brother, she admitted, producing a lock the door from outside. He returned to the study, the rain a steady drumbeat outside. The groove in the windowsill intrigued him. It matched the brass weights scratches, suggesting it had been used to wedge something, perhaps a string or wire. The turpentine scent lingered near the door, faint but persistent. A painter's tool or a cleaner's, Poirot mused. A final twist. A maid reported finding a torn glove in the hedge maze, its leather stained with blue paint. It was too large for Clara or Amelia, but fit Julian Reed's hand. Summoned again, Julian swore he'd lost the glove days ago. Someone took it from my studio, he insisted. Poirot's mind raced. The glove, the weight, the second shot. These are not accidents. The murderer is clever, but their web tightens. As the storm reached its peak, lightning illuminating the manor's turrets, Poirot gathered the household once more. The truth is near, he said, his voice cutting through the thunder. The past accuses, the present deceives, but the little gray cells, they see clearly. One among you has woven this crime. and I shall unravel it." The household stared, fear and defiance in their eyes. Clara clutched her shawl. Geoffrey lit another cigarette. Amelia gripped her locket. Lady Evelyn leaned on Blackwood, and Wilkins stood rigid. The storm roared, but Poirot's calm was unshakable. "Hastings," he whispered, stepping aside. "The net closes. The ring, the glove, the letter. They point to one truth, but we must be certain." And there we pause, dear listeners. What do you make of this gathering storm? The missing ring, the torn glove, the second shot. Where do they lead? Share your theories in the comments, and join us for Chapter 8 as Poirot edges closer to justice. This is Elias Thorne, wishing you a night of thunder and mystery. Chapter 8, Hidden Truths. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Stories with your host, Elias Thorne. We're near to echo the pounding hearts within. The manor, with its ivy-clad walls and shadowed corridors, felt like a stage where the final act was about to unfold. Hercule Poirot, his gray suit as pristine as his logic, stood in the library, his eyes scanning the shelves as if they held the key to Sir Reginald Harrington's murder. The clues, blue paint smudge, scratched keyhole, brass weight, turpentine scent, singed photograph, second bullet, missing ring, and torn glove, danced in his mind, each a piece of a puzzle nearing completion. Captain Arthur Hastings, his face etched with fatigue, slumped in an armchair by the fire. "Poirot, it's like wading through treacle," he groaned. "Every clue points to someone, yet no one. That glove, that ring, someone's leading us on a merry chase." Poirot's mustache twitched with a faint smile. "A chase, yes, mon ami, but one we shall win. The murderer believes they have hidden their tracks, but the truth, it cannot hide from Hercule Poirot." The household was on edge, their movements cautious, their eyes wary. Lady Evelyn Harrington, her auburn hair tightly pinned, sat in the drawing room, her shawl drawn close as if to shield her from scrutiny. Geoffrey Harrington, his cigarette a constant companion, paced the billiard room, his agitation palpable. Amelia Harrington, her locket clutched tightly, sketched in the conservatory, her strokes sharp with frustration. Mr. Albert Wilkins, the butler, polished silver with a grim focus, his silence heavy. Miss Clara Thorne, the maid, moved through the house like a shadow, her sharp ears catching every whisper. Dr. Elias Blackwood, his medical bag at hand, lingered near Lady Evelyn, his concern laced with unease. Poirot gathered the household in the drawing room, the fire's glow casting their faces in stark relief. "Mesdames et messieurs," he began, his voice calm yet commanding. "The web of this crime is intricate, but its threads are fraying. Scratched surface, match the groove in the windowsill, suggesting a mechanism." He tested the window, finding a faint residue of wax in the groove. "Mon Dieu," he murmured. A string, perhaps, coated in wax to hold the weight, pulling the bolt from outside. Hastings gasped. "A locked room trick. But who could rig such a thing?" Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Someone with patience and access." Another truth surfaced. Dr. Blackwood's medical records found in his bag revealed Sir Reginald had a heart condition, known only to the doctor and Lady Evelyn. He was at risk. Blackwood admitted under Poirot's probing. I prescribed rest, but he ignored me. His stress, his secrets, were killing him. Poirot pounced. And did you use this knowledge, Doctor? A staged suicide, perhaps, to protect Madame? Blackwood's face flushed. I cared for Evelyn, yes, but I'm no murderer. Reginald suspected us, but I'd never harm him. Lady Evelyn, her voice breaking, added, He was cruel, but I didn't want him dead. That bruise, it was from his grip, not a door. He was angry about the will. The missing ring took center stage. Poirot found a jeweler's receipt in Sir Reginald's desk, dated a week prior, for its appraisal. Valuable, Poirot noted, and the motive for theft or murder. A startling discovery. A groundskeeper reported seeing Wilkins near the study window before the shot, adjusting a ladder. Confronted, Wilkins paled. I was checking the gutters, sir, as Sir Reginald ordered. The storm was fierce. Poirot's eyes narrowed. At midnight, in the rain. Most curious, another twist. The second bullet's trajectory suggested it was fired from the terrace, not the gardens. Poirot examined the terrace, finding a faint burn mark, gunpowder, near a stone bench. The second shot, he said to Hastings. A diversion to confuse the timeline. The Colonial Ledger offered more. A name emerged, Mr. Langley, a silent partner in Sir Reginald's Ceylon venture, long thought dead but returned to the study. The rain's rhythm a somber backdrop. The turpentine scent, stronger near the window, suggested cleaning. A cover-up. He found a tiny shard of glass, almost invisible, near the sill. A vial, perhaps, he mused, broken in haste. A final revelation. A maid reported seeing Geoffrey slip into the study the day before the murder, searching the desk. Confronted, Geoffrey admitted, I was looking for the will. Father kept threatening to change it. Charity, not us. I wanted proof. Poirot's mind raced. The will, the ring, the partner. These are not separate, but one. The locked room. It is a trick, and the trickster is among us. As midnight approached, the storm's fury peaked, lightning casting the manor in stark relief. Poirot gathered the household once more, his voice steady. The truth is close, mes amis. The murderer believes they have outwitted us, but the little gray cells, they see through the storm. The household stared, fear and defiance mingling. Clara's shawl slipped, revealing a nervous tick. Geoffrey's cigarette burned low, his eyes darting. Amelia clutched her locket, her face pale. Lady Evelyn leaned on Blackwood, their hands touching briefly. Wilkins stood rigid, his gaze fixed on Poirot. Hastings, Poirot whispered, stepping aside. The net tightens. The glass shard, the burn mark, the wax. They point to one truth. We are near the end. And there we pause, dear listeners. What do you make of these hidden truths? The glass shard, the burn mark, the silent partner. Who's the mastermind? Share your theories in the comments and join us for Chapter 9, as Poirot closes in on justice. This is Elias Thorne, wishing you a night of electrifying mystery. Chapter 9, The Final Clues. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Stories with your host, Elias Thorne. We're on the edge of unraveling the intricate puzzle of murder with the secrets they held. Hercule Poirot, His gray suit as immaculate as his logic stood in the grand hall, his green eyes gleaming with the certainty of a man who sees the endgame. The clues: blue paint smudge, scratched keyhole, brass weight, turpentine scent, singed photograph, second bullet, missing ring, torn glove, wax residue, glass shard, and burn mark, formed a constellation in his mind, each point guiding him toward the truth. Captain Arthur Hastings, his face a mix of awe and exasperation, followed Poirot like a faithful hound. "Poirot, it's like a jigsaw with too many pieces," he said, rubbing his eyes. "That glass shard, that burn mark, how do they fit? And this silent partner, Langley, who is he?" Poirot's mustache twitched with a knowing smile. "Patience, mon ami. The puzzle is nearly complete. These final clues, they are the keys to the locked room. We must place them with care." The household was fraying under the strain of suspicion. Lady Evelyn Harrington, her auburn hair pinned with trembling hands, sat in the drawing room, her shawl a fragile shield against the cold stares. Geoffrey Harrington, his cigarette smoke a constant veil, paced the library, his nerves frayed. Amelia Harrington, her locket clutched tightly, sat in the conservatory, her sketchbook forgotten. Mr. Albert Wilkins, the butler, moved with mechanical precision, his silence heavy with unspoken thoughts. Miss Clara Thorne, the maid, polished silver with a ferocity that betrayed her unease. Dr. Elias Blackwood, his medical bag ever present, lingered near Lady Evelyn, his eyes guarded. Poirot gathered the household in the drawing room, the fire casting long shadows across their faces. "Mesdames et messieurs," he began, his voice soft yet commanding. "The murder of Sir Reginald is a crime of precision, but the murderer's mask is slipping. Tonight, we uncover the final clues that will lead us to justice." He held up the glass shard, its edges glinting in the firelight. "This shard, found near the study's window, not gunpowder, the chemist reported, but a chemical, potassium chlorate, used in theatrical effects to mimic a gunshot. The second shot, then, was a fake, a sound to confuse the timeline." Poirot confronted the household. "The second shot, heard by the groundskeeper, was no bullet, but a chemical trick. Someone wished us to believe the murder happened later than it did." Geoffrey's cigarette trembled. "A trick? That's absurd. I was on the terrace, I'd have seen it." Poirot's gaze sharpened. "Yet you saw nothing, monsieur? Or perhaps you saw too much?" The missing ring offered a new lead. Poirot found a pawn ticket in Sir Reginald's desk, dated days before his death, suggesting he'd considered selling the ring himself. Why? Poirot mused. To pay Carver, or to hide it from his family? Lady Evelyn, her voice trembling, admitted, "Reginald was desperate. He said the ring's value could save us from ruin. Debts, not just Geoffrey's, but his own." A twist emerged when Clara, under pressure, revealed finding a coded note in Sir Reginald's study, tucked inside a book. "It was numbers, sir," she said, producing it. "I didn't understand, but I kept it." The note, decoded by Poirot, listed dates and payments to L. Langley, the silent partner. Poirot turned to Dr. Blackwood. "Your medical records showed Sir Reginald's heart condition. Did you know of Langley, a partner who might exploit such weakness?" Blackwood's face darkened. "I knew of no Langley. Reginald's stress was his own doing. Business, family, secrets." The torn glove resurfaced as a clue. Poirot found a matching thread in the hedge maze near where the photograph was found. "The glove was planted," he said, "to point to Monsieur Reed, But the thread, it suggests another hand. Julian, summoned again, protested. I told you my glove was stolen. Someone's framing me. Amelia, her eyes blazing, accused Clara. You were in the maze, hiding things. Did you plant that glove to ruin Julian? Clara's voice was sharp. I hid rose garden tangled in thorns. It was wet, sir, but strong, he said. Poirot examined it, its wax matching the windowsill residue. The mechanism, he said, is confirmed. The coded note offered a breakthrough. Decoded further, it named Langley as a former partner who vanished after the Ceylon scandal, only to resurface demanding payment. Langley, Poirot said, or someone posing as him. As midnight loomed, the storm's lightning illuminated the manor's secrets. Poirot gathered the household once more, his voice steady. The final clues are in place. The murderer is clever, but not invisible. The string, the chemical, the note, they betray the hand that wove this crime. The household stared, fear etching their faces. Clara's hands trembled. Geoffrey's cigarette burned low. Amelia clutched her locket. Lady Evelyn leaned on Blackwood, and Wilkins stood rigid. Poirot's gaze swept over them, his mind a whirl of connections. Hastings, he whispered, stepping aside. The truth is at hand. The wax string, the chemical shot, the silent partner. They point to one. We are ready. And there we pause, dear listeners. What do you make of these final clues? The wax string, the chemical trick, the coded note. Who's the culprit? Share your theories in the comments and join us for Chapter 10 as Poirot unveils the killer. This is Elias Thorne wishing you a night of electrifying suspense. Chapter 10, The Denouement. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Stories with your host, Elias Thorne. We've reached the grand finale of our captivating tale, Murder at Azure Gate House, a Killer Hercule Poirot Mystery. Last time, Hercule Poirot gathered the final clues, a wax-coated string, a chemical trick, a coded note bringing us to the edge of solving Sir Reginald Harrington's locked room murder. Tonight the curtain falls as Poirot unveils the truth. Who's your final guess for the killer? The painter, the maid, the doctor, or someone else? Drop your theories in the burn mark, wax string, and coded note had coalesced into a single undeniable truth. Captain Arthur Hastings, his face a mix of awe and anticipation, stood by the fireplace. Poirot, you've got that look, he said, his voice low. You know who did it, don't you? Poirot's lips curved into a faint smile. Oui, mon ami. The little grey cells, they have worked their magic. The locked room is no longer a mystery, and the murderer, they stand among us. The household gathered, their tension palpable. Lady Evelyn Harrington, her auburn hair loose, clutched her shawl, her eyes haunted. Geoffrey Harrington, his cigarette unlit, gripped the armrest of his chair. Amelia Harrington, her locket dangling, stood by the piano, her face pale. Mr. Albert Wilkins, the butler, stood rigid by the door, his hands clasped tightly. Miss Clara Thorne, the maid, hovered near the tea tray, her sharp eyes darting. Dr. Elias Blackwood, his medical bag at his feet, sat beside Lady Evelyn, his expression guarded. Julian Reed, the painter, stood at the edge, his paint-stained hands clenched. Poirot began, his voice soft yet commanding, like a conductor before a symphony. Mesdames et messieurs, the murder of Sir Reginald Harrington was a crime of cunning, designed to baffle. A locked room, a gunshot, a staged suicide. Yet the truth has emerged. Let us unravel the web. He paced slowly, his hands clasped behind his back. The clues were many, but some were false. The blue paint smudge pointing to Monsieur Reed, too convenient. The torn glove found in the maze, planted to mislead. The missing ring, the singed photograph, these were distractions, meant to cloud the truth. But others, the wax string, the glass shard, the chemical burn, they spoke clearly. He turned to the household. The locked room was the heart of this puzzle. How was it done? A string, waxed for strength, threaded through a tiny hole in the window frame, pulled the bolt shut from outside. The brass weight held it tight. To Julian. The glove, the paint, did you seek revenge for Sir Reginald's scorn? Julian shook his head. I'm innocent. Someone framed me. To Clara. Your brother's death tied to Sir Reginald's negligence. Revenge was your motive, no? Clara's eyes flashed. I hated him, but I didn't shoot him. To Dr. Blackwood. Your affection for Madame, your knowledge of Sir Reginald's heart. Did you stage a murder as suicide? Blackwood's voice was steady. I cared for Evelyn, but I'm no killer. Poirot paused, his gaze sweeping the room. The coded note, naming Langley, the silent partner. It suggested a shadow from the past. But Langley is dead, confirmed by records. The note was a ruse, written by the killer to point to a ghost. He held up the wax string. This, mes amis, is the key. The murderer entered the study, shot Sir Reginald, and used the string to lock the bolt from outside. The chemical vial, triggered by a timer, ice perhaps, melting in the storm, created the second shot to suggest a later time of death. The room was silent, the storm's thunder a distant echo. Poirot's voice rose. The murderer is Monsieur Wilkins. Wilkins flinched, his face paling. The household gasped, eyes turning to the butler. Preposterous, he sputtered. I served Sir Reginald faithfully. Poirot raised a hand. Non, monsieur. You served, but you also betrayed. Let us explain. He paced, his voice deliberate. Wilkins, you had access to the study, the knowledge of its locks. You knew of Sir Reginald's colonial sins, your own past, a theft conviction, was held over you. The ledger revealed payments to silence a scandal. But you were the go-between, delivering funds to Carver. When Sir Reginald threatened to expose you, to change his will to charity, you acted. Poirot pointed to the clues. The wax string, you rigged it through the window. A chair, his face ashen. He was going to ruin me, he whispered. After years of service, he'd cast me out. I had no choice. Lady Evelyn sobbed. Amelia clutched Julian, and Geoffrey swore softly. Dr. Blackwood shook his head, stunned. Poirot's voice softened. Justice, mes amis, is served. The little gray cells, they do not fail. Constable Hargrove, summoned, took Wilkins into custody. The storm began to ease, its thunder fading. Poirot turned to Hastings. The order and method, mon ami, they triumph. As the household dispersed, the manor seemed to exhale, its secrets laid bare. Poirot stood alone, his gaze on the rain-swept grounds. "The human heart," he murmured. "It is the greatest mystery of all." And there we close, dear listeners, the tale of murder at Azure Gate House. What did you think of Poirot's grand reveal? Were you surprised by Wilkins' guilt, or did you spot the clues? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let me know if you'd like more Poirot adventures. This is Elias Thorne, signing off with a wish for a night of mystery and peace. Until next time, stay curious.